Welcome, my friend.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'll be doing a what if scenario, and that is, what if Jar Jar Binks was a Sith Lord? If you enjoy videos like this, please drop a like, and if you're new, subscribe to the channel. In the spiraling cityscape of Coruscant, amidst the glistening spires and bustling markets, a secret had long been buried beneath the veneer of civilization. It was a secret so potent, so meticulously hidden, that it had managed to elude the keen eyes of the Jedi for decades. At the heart of this enigma was a seemingly clumsy, bumbling Gungan from the swamps of Naboo, Jar Jar Binks. To all who knew him, Jar Jar was a simpleton, a source of comic relief in dire situations, but beneath his foolish exterior lied a calculating mind of a Sith Lord. The Sith had always thrived in the shadows, weaving their influence through deception and misdirection. From the moment he had been banished from Gungan, his home city under the waters of Naboo, Jar Jar had plotted his ascension. His facade of incompetence was his greatest weapon, one that allowed him to manipulate those around him without suspicion. When Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi first encountered Jar Jar in the swamps of Naboo, they saw only a hapless Gungan in need of help. Little did they know, this encounter was no mere coincidence. Jar Jar had orchestrated their meeting, sensing the disturbance in the Force that heralded their arrival. He deftly ingratiated himself into their mission, using his apparent ignorance to gain their trust. As events unfolded and the Galactic Republic faced the threat of the Trade Federation, Jar Jar's influence grew. He played the part of the fool to perfection, earning the affection and sympathy of Queen Amidala and her retinue. His seemingly harmless presence allowed him to observe and learn, to position himself where he could exert subtle yet profound influence. When the Queen decided to return to Naboo and retake her throne, Jar Jar was there, a trusted ally, ready to steer events towards his own dark ends. The Battle of Naboo marked the turning point in Jar Jar's rise to power. The victory over the Trade Federation, achieved with the help of the Gungan army, elevated Jar Jar to the status of a hero among his people. He used this newfound influence to secure a position in the Galactic Senate as Representative Binks. This move was not merely opportunistic, it was strategy. The Senate was the perfect stage for his continued manipulation. In the Senate, Jar Jar cultivated an image of naive enthusiasm, masking his true intentions. He navigated the complex web of political alliances with the finesse of a seasoned player, all the while maintaining his bumbling persona. This allowed him to gather intelligence, identify key players, and subtly influence decisions that would benefit his hidden agenda. His most significant achievement during this time was his pivotal role in granting emergency powers to Supreme Chancellor Palpatine. The partnership between Jar Jar and Palpatine was a masterpiece of Sith strategy. Both understood the power of deception and the value of patience. While Palpatine manipulated the galaxy from the shadows, Jar Jar's antics provided the perfect distraction. Their combined efforts sowed chaos and confusion, setting the stage for the rise of the Galactic Empire. With the outbreak of the Clone Wars, the galaxy was plunged into conflict, and Jar Jar's influence continued to grow. He played his part with unerring precision, always appearing at the right place and time to further the Sith agenda. His apparent foolishness made him the perfect messenger and intermediary, allowing him to pass information and manipulate events without suspicion. One of Jar Jar's most significant manipulations during this period involved his interactions with the Jedi. He maintained a close, albeit seemingly inconsequential relationship with them, using their trust to gather intelligence and subtly mislead them. His presence during key moments of the war ensured that the Jedi were often one step behind, their efforts to uncover the true puppet masters thwarted by the very one they considered an ally. As the war dragged on, the Jedi grew increasingly desperate, their ranks thinned, and their resources stretched. Jar Jar's influence over the Senate allowed him to sway critical decisions, ensuring that the Jedi were sent on missions designed to weaken them further. Each victory for the Republic was tainted by the shadow of the Sith manipulation, leading the galaxy ever closer to the brink of darkness. Jar Jar's skills in manipulation and subterfuge became invaluable during the war. He used his position to sow discord among the Jedi and the Republic, feeding Palpatine crucial information and subtly sabotaging their efforts. His apparent incompetence continued to shield him from suspicion, allowing him to operate with impunity. Jar Jar began to feel the intoxicating allure of power. His ambition grew, and he started to envision a future where he would not merely be Palpatine's pawn, but the master of the galaxy. He knew that to achieve this, he would need to be patient and wait for the perfect moment to strike. The culmination of Palpatine's grand plan was Order 66, a directive that turned the clone troopers against the Jedi. The Jedi were slaughtered across the galaxy. Jar Jar's loyalty to Palpatine seemed unwavering. He continued to play his role, ensuring that no one suspected his true nature. As the galaxy transitioned from the Republic to the Empire, Jar Jar continued to play his part. His position in the Imperial Senate allowed him to maintain influence, ensuring that the new regime's policies aligned with Sith goals. His apparent loyalty to Palpatine masked his own ambitions as he continued to maneuver for greater power and control. The true extent of Jar Jar's influence became apparent only after the dust had settled. The Jedi were no more, the Republic was a distant memory, and the galaxy was under the iron grip of the Sith. Jar Jar's position within the new regime was secure, but his ambition remained unfulfilled. He watched as Palpatine consolidated his power, biding his time and waiting for the right moment to make his move. As the Empire's grip tightened on the galaxy, Jar Jar began to subtly gather followers and resources. He knew that to overthrow Palpatine, he would need allies and a base of power. He reached out to disillusioned officers within the Imperial ranks, promising them greater power and influence in the new order he envisioned. Jar Jar's charisma and cunning won him many supporters. He established a clandestine network of operatives who worked to undermine Palpatine's rule from within. By the way, if you're still here and if you're enjoying the video so far, please drop a like, and if you're new, please subscribe to the channel. Through carefully orchestrated acts of sabotage and misinformation, he weakened the Emperor's control and created a climate of uncertainty and fear. Palpatine, despite his vast powers, was not immune to the effects of Jar Jar's machinations. He began to sense a growing threat, but was unable to identify its source. His trust in Jar Jar remained unshaken. As Palpatine's paranoia grew, Jar Jar prepared to make his move. The final stages of Jar Jar's plan required precision and ruthlessness. He knew that Palpatine would not be easily defeated and that any mistake could lead to his own downfall. He orchestrated a series of events that would draw Palpatine away from his stronghold on Coruscant, leaving him vulnerable to attack. Using his network of spies and loyalists, Jar Jar manipulated intelligence reports to suggest that a significant threat to the Empire had arisen on the distant planet of Mustafar. Palpatine, eager to crush any opposition, departed for Mustafar with a contingent of his most loyal guards. As Palpatine prepared to leave, Jar Jar put his final plan into motion. He activated hidden commands within the ranks of the Imperial Guard, turning them against Palpatine. A fierce battle erupted aboard the Emperor's shuttle, with Jar Jar himself confronting his former master. The duel between Jar Jar and Palpatine was a clash of titanic forces. Palpatine, though powerful, was caught off guard by the sheer ferocity and skill of Jar Jar's attack. The Gungan's mastery of the dark side had grown immensely over the years, and his cunning had allowed him to anticipate Palpatine's every move. Blades of crimson light clashed in a furious dance, their energy crackling through the air. Palpatine's lightning arched towards Jar Jar, who deflected it with ease, his expression one of cold determination. The battle raged across the shuttle, with the fate of the Empire hanging in the balance. In a final decisive move, Jar Jar disarmed Palpatine and drove his lightsaber through the Emperor's heart. Palpatine's eyes widened in shock and disbelief as he realized the extent of Jar Jar's betrayal. With a final gasp, the Dark Lord of the Sith fell, and Darth Binks stood victorious. With Palpatine dead, Jar Jar assumed the control of the Empire. He declared himself Emperor and took on the mantle of Darth Binks. His first act was to consolidate his power, eliminating any potential rivals and securing the loyalty of the Imperial forces. He positioned himself as a savior of the galaxy, promising stability and prosperity under his rule. Darth Binks' reign was marked by a ruthless efficiency. He continued Palpatine's policies of fear and control, but tempered them with a cunning diplomacy that won him many allies. allies. His ability to blend charm with ruthlessness made him a formidable ruler, and his enemies quickly learned to fear him. The galaxy, weary from years of war and conflict, accepted Darth Binks' rule with a mixture of fear and hope. The Jedi Order, all but extinct, posed no threat to his power. The Rebel Alliance, fragmented and leaderless, struggled to mount any significant opposition. As the years went by, Darth Binks' influence spread across the galaxy. He implemented sweeping reforms to consolidate his power and ensure the loyalty of the Imperial forces. His rule was absolute, but he maintained a veneer of benevolence that kept the populace in check. Under his guidance, the Empire expanded its reach, bringing countless star systems under its control. He crushed any resistance with swift and brutal force, using fear and propaganda to maintain order. His mastery of the dark side grew, and he became a figure of legend and terror. Despite his dark nature, Darth Binks ensured that the Empire's infrastructure and economy thrived. He invested in scientific research and technological advancements, ensuring that the Empire remained a dominant force in the galaxy. His rule, though oppressive, brought a semblance of stability that had been absent for years. While Darth Binks' reign seemed unassailable, a new threat began to emerge. In the shadows, remnants of the Jedi Order and the Rebel Alliance worked tirelessly to undermine his rule. They gathered allies and resources, preparing for the day when they could challenge the Emperor and restore freedom to the galaxy. Led by a mysterious figure known only as the Last Jedi, these rebels represented the greatest threat to Darth Binks' rule. They struck from hidden bases and used guerrilla tactics to weaken the Empire's hold on key systems. Their actions sparked hope in the hearts of the oppressed, inspiring a new wave of resistance. Darth Binks, ever vigilant, sought to crush this new threat. He deployed his forces to hunt down the rebels and eliminate them. The conflict escalated into a brutal war, with the galaxy once again engulfed in conflict. Despite the rebels' best efforts, Darth Binks' cunning and ruthlessness proved difficult to overcome. The Last Jedi and the Rebel Alliance knew they had to strike a decisive blow against the Emperor. They gathered their forces and launched a daring assault on the Imperial stronghold of Coruscant. The battle was fierce and bloody, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The rebels fought valiantly, their determination unwavering, but the might of the Imperial forces, bolstered by Darth Binks' dark power, was overwhelming. In the heart of the Imperial Palace, the Last Jedi confronted Darth Binks. The duel was a clash of light and dark, hope and despair. The two opponents faced each other in the grand chamber of the fortress, the air thick with the tension of the dark side. Darth Binks, his eyes glowing with malevolent power, spoke in a voice that echoed the menace.
Misa been expecting you, Jedi. You think you can defeat Misa? The dark side be strong with Misa, and you be no match. Misa bombard.
The Last Jedi, wielding a blue lightsaber, fought with the strength of 1,000 lost souls, determined to bring an end to the Emperor's tyranny. Darth Binks, his eyes glowing with malice, met the Jedi's attacks with cold precision and unmatched ferocity.
Misa bring the darkness. You, sir, think Misa clumsy? But Misa powerful with the dark side.
Despite the Last Jedi's skill and determination, Darth Binks' mastery of the dark side proved too powerful. With a final devastating blow, the Last Jedi fell, leaving the rebel forces leaderless and demoralized. Darth Binks stood over the fallen Jedi, a triumphant grin spreading across his face. The rebellion was shattered, its hope extinguished. With the defeat of the Last Jedi and the crushing of the Rebel Alliance, Darth Binks solidified his rule over the galaxy. The remnants of the rebellion were hunted down and destroyed, their leaders captured and executed. The galaxy was plunged into a new era of darkness, with the Emperor's grip tighter than ever. Darth Binks' reign was marked by an unrelenting pursuit of power and control. He expanded the Empire's reach to the farthest corners of the galaxy, subjugating countless worlds and civilizations. His rule was absolute, enforced by the vast network of spies, enforcers, and dark acolytes. Under Darth Binks, the Sith tradition flourished. He trained a new generation of dark side adepts, ensuring that his legacy would endure. These acolytes, loyal to the Emperor, spread fear and oppression wherever they went. The Jedi Order, once a beacon of hope and justice, was now nothing more than a distant memory, its teachings suppressed and its temples destroyed. The galaxy lived in the shadow of Darth Binks' empire. Citizens were kept in line through a combination of propaganda and terror. The Emperor's secret police, known as the Shadow Guards, enforced his will with brutal efficiency. Any dissent was swiftly crushed, and those who dared to oppose the Emperor faced a fate worse than death. Despite the oppressive regime, pockets of resistance continued to exist. These brave souls fought in the shadows, striking at the Empire whenever they could, but their efforts were often futile, as Darth Binks' spies and informants were everywhere. Trust was a rare commodity, and betrayal was commonplace. The Emperor's paranoia grew with each passing year. He knew that as long as there was life, there would be resistance. He became increasingly reclusive, withdrawing to his heavily fortified palace on Coruscant, surrounded by his most loyal guards and advisors. His dark power continued to grow, fueled by the fear and suffering of the galaxy. Years turned into decades, and Darth Binks' rule showed no signs of waning. The galaxy had adapted to the new order, with entire generations knowing nothing but the Emperor's tyranny. The memory of the Jedi and the Republic faded into legend, stories told in hushed whispers by those who remembered. The Emperor, now a shadowy figure shrouded in myth and fear, rarely appeared in public. His presence was felt more than seen, a constant oppressive force that loomed over the galaxy. The dark side's influence permeated every aspect of life, from the highest echelons of power to the lowest levels of society. Under Darth Binks, technological and scientific advancements continued, but always with the goal of furthering his control. Surveillance systems monitored every corner of the galaxy, and new weapons of unimaginable power were developed to crush any hint of rebellion. The Emperor's hold on the galaxy was absolute, his will unchallenged. As Darth Binks approached the end of his life, he began to contemplate his legacy. He had achieved what many Sith before him had only dreamed of, complete and total domination of the galaxy. But he knew that even the greatest empires could crumble. To ensure the continuation of his rule, he initiated a series of dark rituals and experiments, seeking to prolong his life and secure his power for eternity. The Emperor's dark experiments led to the creation of terrible monstrosities, beings twisted by the dark side, designed to serve and protect them. His palace became a fortress of horrors, guarded by these abominations and his most loyal acolytes. The galaxy's fear of Darth Binks grew to an almost supernatural level, with rumors of his immortality and invincibility spreading far and wide. In the end, Darth Binks achieved a semblance of immortality. Through dark rituals, he managed to bind his essence to the very fabric of the Empire. As long as the Empire stood, so too would Darth Binks. His presence became a malevolent force that could never be truly eradicated, a dark shadow that haunted the galaxy for all eternity.
Moi, the dark side is strong with Misa.
And that's the end of the story, everyone. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't seen my film channel, Pulley Productions, I suggest you check it out and see my work. But leave a like on the video if you've enjoyed it, comment below your thoughts, and if you're new, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until the next video, may the Force be with you. Always.